Hey guys, it's Not Lammers of Invoked 101, and this is something I haven't done in a hot minute. I haven't done a banlist prediction video in a very long time, and there's been a lot of discussion about if we're actually even going to get a June ban list. There's a lot of rumors circulating around if we're getting one or if we're not getting one. I'm personally in the camp that thinks we might get one, but it's not going to hit stuff that like has been winning the LCSs and the smaller online tournaments, or not the smaller online tournaments, but the larger online tournaments. I think it's just going to be kind of like a check and balance type list where it's like, okay, well, here's some cards that we couldn't hit before, but like, or here's some slight adjustments to it, some stuff that can come off, some stuff that we think can come off due to, you know, like Eternity Code coming out and stuff like that. So I have a few cards I want to mention first because I've heard people talking about certain things that could move, but these are just kind of honorable mention stuff. The first one is some Sky Striker cards, specifically Widow Anchor. I've heard people talking about Widow Anchor going to 3. I've heard of talk of Engage going back to 1, multi-roll going up in count, and no, like we had, well, it felt like forever, but I think we had well over 2 years, it felt like, of Sky Striker being like one of the best decks consistently and almost always topping events and just taking top spots. So I think Sky Striker, anything if it moves, no. If anything, Sky Striker cards should go down on the list to just get rid of the deck completely. Like, no, that deck doesn't need to stick around. There's also a lot of talk about Thunder Dragon Colossus coming back off the list to 1. A lot of people thought the Thunder Dragon hit was too hard, specifically banning Colossus. I get why Colossus was banned. Like, it needed to be banned so that way Union Carrier could exist, because Union Carrier with Colossus equals no drawing and no extra deck. And the last thing I want to mention is the invoked cards, or the invoked archetype as a whole. A lot of people want like Alistair hit or the field spell hit. While I do have an invoked hit on my list, I don't think that invoked necessarily needs to be hit. It's not like some people have saying to hit Eldritch or to hit the future Dragma deck, but I actually think that that's the reason invoke should stick around, is because there's actually a better version of Eldritch that's basically tier 0, which is Synchro Eldritch, and then Dragma. If invoked promotes people buying Dragma, why would you hit invoked before Dragma comes out? So it just makes more sense to leave it intact until Dragma comes out and has a chance to play with the invoke stuff, and to hit invoked then, if you even need to hit invoked, and to keep it around to promote Eldritch. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me personally, but I do have an invoked hit on my list just to kind of please the haters. I personally don't think invoke needs hit, but I'm also biased. Anyways, moving into the actual hits themselves, or the list, I have one card unlimited, and that is Tour Guide of the Burning Abyss. Not Tour Guide of the Burning Abyss, basically, right? Tour Guide of the Underworld. It's a card that really hasn't done anything lately, and it's honestly underpowered at this point. It chews up your normal summon, and only really one deck plays it. Like, I know, what's the other deck? Dark Worlds. I think they play it too, but at the same time, Dark World lost Firewall Dragon, and so they can't really Firewall FTK anymore, and Tour Guide at 3, I don't feel like it would do anything major. I feel like it does, like, Tour Guide at 3 would be fine. Like, it's just going to buff Burning Abyss, like, that much, just to give it a little bit more consistency. I'm not even sure if Burning Abyss would want to play the 3 Tour Guide. Then we have our semi-limits. So the first card I have is ABC Dragon Buster. I know a lot of ABC players, including myself, felt that ABC to 1 didn't make a lot of sense and was kind of a really big hit to the deck. Like, I get it. They just got Union Carrier. They're getting Union Driver. It is going to become a strong deck, but at the same time, ABC isn't a deck that spits out negates. It spits out rank 4s and a banish. And yes, it does gain a lot of advantage, but the thing with ABC is it loses to Called By, it loses to DD Crow. It loses to Effect Veiler. It loses to Impermanence. Like, there's so many things that this deck can lose to. If you Cosmic Cyclone their field spell, if you Ash their field spell, if you Ghost Ogre their field spell, they lose. Like, ABC is a really fragile strategy. And the only thing it really does have going for it is Tribute ABC, summon 3 guys, link them away into something, get advantage. Yes, the ABC pieces are kind of strong, but I don't think that the deck itself is consistent enough or strong enough to warrant their boss monster being more than like at 1 or banned. Like, I heard some guys say that ABC Dragon Buster should be banned, and I was like, no, what are you on? But yeah, so I think Buster Dragon should go to 2. I am a little biased because I do play ABCs. I was playing ABCs fairly regularly. But yeah, so I think Buster Dragon should go to 2. I also think Terraforming, and I'll explain Terraforming at 2 in a minute, but yes, I know that Terraforming does search an entire section of the game. Like, it searches a whole game mechanic, essentially. I was talking to my friend Judge Warren, who I've mentioned on the channel before. He we were talking about it, and he's like, and I was explaining my case, which is that if you ban Mystic Mine, all the good field spells that aren't really once per turn are either banned or limited. So it really does become what could you search. It would just be a buff to decks that need their field spell. And to which he replied, yes, but a card that searches an entire game mechanic is very strong. But I think Terraforming could come back to 2. I think 2 Terraforming would be okay if we got rid of Mystic Mine. And like I said, that's only if Mystic Mine goes as well. As for limited cards, Junk Speeder is a card that I really think could be limited. It was limited in the OCG. It is a strong card, although we haven't really seen it see a lot of play over here. I do think it is one of those cards that, like, is only going to be a moment of time before something breaks it. But this is probably the least likely hit I could see. I also have Invoked MECHABA on here, and like I said, I don't think Invoked needs hit, but I think MECHABA going to 1 would be a big enough hit to the strategy that it's like, okay, maybe there has to be something else there, as 1 MECHABA when most decks play 2 is kind of a bit of a big hit. Next up, I have Skullcrabat Joker, which is the Stratos for Pendulum Magicians, Odd Eyes, and Performer Pals. I have him at 1 here because Electromite is banned, so you don't really have to worry about like anything crazy with him. And him going to 1, what card is Pendulum Magician gonna search? Like, what Pendulum Magician card is he gonna search that's super broken? Like, I think he can search Performer Pal Pendulum Sorcerer, he can search Celestial Magician, and he can search Odd Eyes Arc Dragon. But none of those cards are really big per se. I mean, I guess Performer Pal Celestial Magician is kind of really good because he can do different things based on what's on the field. But at the same time, I don't think that putting a 1-of that doesn't search himself back to the deck would do anything major. Next up, I have Orcus Galtea, or I think it's Galtea, the Orcus Automaton, something like that. But with Orcus Gearsu coming out, the Mech Knight Orcus Gearsu, I think Galtea does need to go to 1. I think Orcus does need a bigger hit because Orcus just became super strong with that card. And I think the proper hit is either you can ban Babel or you can limit Galtea, and I think Galtea going to 1 is the correct hit because it still lets the deck do some things and it still lets it play on the opponent's turn, which is kind of one of the big themes of it. And you don't take away any of the real pieces of Orcus because you can still loop the 1 Galtea. You just have to be careful about it now. And yeah, and Orcus, much like the other decks on this, like the other decks such as Thunder Dragon and Sky Striker, I feel like Orcus was really strong for a lot of time, so let's keep this deck kind of in check moving forward, because I know a lot of players are really tired of seeing Thunder Dragon, Orcus, and Sky Striker, especially since Orcus and Thunder Dragon just got new cards. So like, I get it, maybe buff the Thunder Dragons with 1 Colossus, but I think Orcus needs to stay down, and Thunder Dragon should probably stay hit as well. The last card I have limited is Shockmaster. This is mostly just because, like, it takes 3 Xyz materials to summon this guy. I think it's, and honestly, we've had worse cards in the game that existed that you could sink materials into. And with Lunalight gone, what deck is really going to summon this? I guess ABC could summon it if you don't give back a Buster Dragon, but you limit the but you limit the Shockmaster. I guess ABCs could make it in theory, but yeah. He's a really cool card, and it's honestly one of those cards that a lot of players have been wanting to see come back. I think, but at the same time, I think a lot of players want it to come back, but not, but to like not have it played against them. I really feel like that's the position it's in. And finally, we reach the banned section of the list. So the first card I have banned is Block Dragon, and I know that there's like a million decks that this thing goes in. Like it goes in Burning Abyss. I guess there's only like really 4, ain't there? Like 3 or 4. It goes in Block Dragon, Burning Abyss. It goes in Gem Knights, and it goes in Adamantipator. Now, where this card really sees its most unfair plays is in Adamantipator. I watched firsthand playing Invoked Eldritch, an Adamantipator player, equip Block Dragon, link the card with Block Dragon away, search 3 cards off of Block Dragon, summon all 3 of those cards, summon 3 more cards off the cards he summoned, bring back the Block Dragon, and then do a whole bunch of stuff. It was ridiculous. And like once I saw that, I was like, okay, that card needs to go. Block Dragon gains you way too much advantage for such a small requirement of having 3 monsters on field, right? 3 monsters, 2 of them go into Union Carrier, 1 of them gets equipped. So, and then you just have to, and then all the Adamantipator guys summon someone. So all you have to do is just get the Union Carrier on board. But yeah, Block Dragon I feel definitely needs to go. I've heard some people say, oh, he needs to be limited. Like it doesn't matter. You can't Ash the Carrier because it equips from deck. So I just think the Block Dragon needs to be banned outright. It's one of those cards where even if you limited it, you're just going to be able to resource it from the deck, and if it's in your hand, you can still play it. So I think he definitely needs to go. Another card I want banned is ALTERGEIST SILQUITOUS, and it's not just because I have a personal vendetta against ALTERGEIST. Honestly, you could limit Silk if you wanted to, and I feel like that'd be just as fine, because then you only have to deal with it once. Once it's in the graveyard, it's kind of harder to get back. But ALTERGEIST Silk is one of those cards that really keeps ALTERGEIST around. Like, limiting Multifaker arguably made the deck better. It's kind of ridiculous how it worked. And Silk is the card that a lot of players have a problem with now because it just bounces the Multifaker back and it allows you to basically cheat using the deck, where a card that is practically called the Haunted targets the card, brings it back, Silk bounces it, bounces your thing, and you get to keep the monster. Plus, you get your Monster Reborn back in your hand. It really is an unfair card, in my opinion. And it's one of those cards that doesn't need to exist in a deck that's as... And I'm probably going to get like shat on for saying this, but that's as toxic as ALTERGEIST is. It's one of those... It's just... I don't think that card needs to exist. Another card I want banned is Mystic Mine. A lot of people have been talking about this card and whether it should be limited, whether it should be banned, what should be done about it, and it really does need to go. It is an unfair card. It forces people to main deck back row removal just for the matchup, because Mystic Mine is one of those cards that a lot of people are still playing right now. A lot of players are using set rotation to either give their opponent Mystic Mine and kind of either like, or give themselves Mystic Mine and give their opponent a card. So it is a card that's still seeing resourced. It's at 3. It is literally the best field spell that's at 3 because it's generic, it's easy to access, and overall this card just doesn't need to exist. Like we got Pankratops limited to 1 because everyone was putting Pankratops in their deck, and I get it, not every deck plays Mystic Mine, but there are a lot of decks that are starting to play Mystic Mine at set rotation. So I think this card definitely needs to go. We've had this card too long. And the last card is Mist Valley Apex Avian. Mist Valley Thunderbird, sorry. That card does, I do believe, needs banned because it enables the Infinite Loop combo. And I think what it is for the Infinite Loop, I think really you only need like 3 monsters for it or something like that. It's a very easy thing to pull off, and then like you get Thunderbird out. I've seen it done against me. It was a while ago. I don't remember exactly how it works. But it is one of those things that does produce an infinite negate combo, and it's much better to get that out of the game right now than it is to wait on it and see how the format develops, because I know if they hit some of the better decks that are playing right now, like stuff like Adamantipator, stuff like Eldritch, then the infinite negate decks are just going to come back and start doing their thing, and I feel like a lot of players would just be happy if this card was out of the game. But that's what I have for my list. I know that some of the cards on here, such as Altergeist Silk and ABC Dragon Buster, I do know that those cards realistically probably aren't going to move on the list, even though I do really want them to. It's just my opinion. But let me know what you guys think about the list overall. Down in the comments below. Like I said, if you feel like supporting the channel, down in the description there's a link to our Patreon, our Cash App, our Ko-fi, our Discord, and our Teespring. So if you feel like supporting the channel, that's where to do it, down there. And with that said, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.